Hello, and welcome to the Friday 5 for November 21st. I'm Samantha Sobolewski.
And I'm Alexis, Allison. Each week, we'll be tackling 5 pop culture topics and giving you our 2 cents, as well as some input from an expert. This week, we spoke with the Ryersonian's own Alicia Sani on her coverage of Snow Queen. It's a holiday-themed drag queen show produced by a group of Ryerson RTA students. We'll be talking, or in this case arguing, over People magazine's newest choice for Sexiest Man Alive. We'll give you an update on Interpol's current bus situation. They were stuck in Buffalo snow for about 50 hours this week. Cinderella, the children's fairy tale, is making big moves both in Hollywood and here at Ryerson. And revival shows. Luther will be getting the American treatment after its successful run in the UK, but it's definitely not the first show to drop the accents and cater to Western audiences.
On December 12th, the Winter Garden Theatre on Yonge Street will be transformed into a holiday party featuring some of Toronto's most prominent drag queens. The show, called Snow Queens, is being billed as a night of fun and entertainment, featuring racy holiday songs and unexpected dance troupes. It's a little fun to get you into the holiday spirit. The kicker is that the entire production is being put on by 7 Ryerson radio and television arts students.
We talked to Ryersonian reporter Alicia Sani about Snow Queen. Alicia has been closely following the story, and she's been producing multimedia content for our website. That's ryersonian.ca. Snow Queen is the practicum project, or thesis, for 7 RTA students that are involved in the production. According to Alicia, the students came up with the idea to throw a drag show all on their own, and the proceeds from the ticket sales will go to the 519 Community Center. The reason has a lot to do with their executive producer.
Sachil Patel, he's the producer of the show. He feels very connected to the LGBTQ community, so he wanted to kind of give back to the community. That's why he started this whole project in the first place, because he thought, well, a good way to give back would be to make this show, and then with proceeds going to the 519 Community Center.
Alicia sat down with one of the drag queens performing in the show, Nikki Chin. Nikki is one of the 6 drag queens who will be performing throughout the 1-hour show.
He's very excited. He loves working with Ryerson. You know, it's his first time working with Ryerson, but he seems to really be enjoying it so far.
Snow Queen has spent somewhere around $33,000 on the production. Now, $15,000 of that came right from the president of Ryerson. That's Sheldon Levy. Alicia told us that Patel, that's the executive producer, managed to get the money from Levy thanks to something called an elevator pitch. It's an industry term for pitches that are short. Think as shortened as an elevator ride. But Patel took it in the most literal of senses.
He saw Sheldon Levy in the elevator. I don't know if that was pre-planned or not, but, you know, the way he talks about it, he said, oh, I was in the elevator with Sheldon Levy, and I had 2 minutes to tell him everything about Snow Queen. And he kind of said jokingly, like, okay, so Sheldon, do you want to go see drag queens in a show? And then he sort of laughed and said, sure. And then he got out of the elevator, and literally minutes later, he got an email from Sheldon Levy going, supported.
Alicia said that Snow Queen has raised the most money out of any of the practicum projects this semester. But putting on a production of this scale costs money, and the Snow Queen producers decided to start a last-minute Indiegogo campaign and raise the last $2,000 they need to make the show a smashing success. Alicia has more on this and on the production at ryersonian.ca.
So the article I have online right now, just backgrounds, you know, how Snow Queen started, and that, you know, basically there is a show out there by these RTA students. My next piece is just going to be a follow-up on how their Indiegogo campaign is going, if their crowdfunding is working, you know, are people getting interested, or is the word getting spread?
Tickets for Snow Queen are on sale now at ticketmaster.ca, and they range in price from $25 to $45.
Moving along from queens to gods now, one of the highest honors was awarded this week when People magazine named Chris Hemsworth the Sexiest Man Alive, at least for this year. And it's honestly an award I just can't argue with. For one thing, Hemsworth made his mark on the Marvel scene with his standout Thor performance in 2011. He was literally the perfect mix of charming, funny, and strapless, shirtless Norse god. Another thing, he's not just a big budget action star. I mean, he was the star of Rush, that was Ron Howard's movie, and it premiered at TIFF. The upcoming Michael Mann movie, Black Hat, and Ron Howard's In the Heart of the Sea, which is also coming out next year. And finally, the hair. The beautiful, beautiful hair. Have you seen the hair? All in all, it's an excellent pick.
Okay, so bear with me here. Usually I put all of my eggs into the Johnny Depp basket, but he won back in 2009, and I guess he also won in 2003, so that just wouldn't be fair. So my backup choice is our DJ. Yep, our man, Robert Downey Jr. He's also a superhero, Iron Man, and in that, he's a man with a dark past. He's a confident billionaire playboy, and he still leaves time to save the world. Not bad. Beyond Iron Man, RDJ played a well-dressed, cocky lawyer in a movie called The Judge. I saw it, and I loved it. Critics didn't, but, he always gives a good interview. He looks good no matter whether he's shining his sparkling white teeth or awkwardly frowning, and he's an underdog. You gotta cheer for the underdog.
Well, if Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Hemsworth aren't up your alley, you can always Google search for an old issue. Past winners include Adam Levine in 2013, Channing Tatum in 2012, Bradley Cooper in 2011, and Ryan Reynolds in 2010.
Fun fact, in 1992, the year I was born, Nick Nolte won for Sexiest Man of the Year. That's Nick Nolte.
Yuck.
I have a lot of questions about where people's heads were at back in 1992.
So Cinderella may be approaching its 70th anniversary, but the famed princess and her glass slippers are making a mainstream comeback right now. The first trailer for Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella has just been released, and that comes out in March, but I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet. So let's start with the good. It features the likes of Stellan Skarsgård, Helena Bonham Carter, and the oh-so-dreamy Rob Stark himself, rest in peace, Richard Madden. The names attached are pretty darn impressive, but I do think that Disney needs to take a breather on the live-action thing. I mean, Into the Woods is coming out in December, and that being said, it's going to make a ton of money. So I guess it's a smart move for Disney, but one that I'm not sure I support. Hopefully it brings some life into Richard Madden's post-Game of Thrones career as well.
Okay, I'm not a fan at all of how Disney is milking their fairy tale classics. A prime example is Maleficent. It had bad graphics, Angelina Jolie I'm just not a fan of, and it was way overly advertised. They were clearly just trying to make a buck on an old movie. I thoroughly enjoyed the trailer for Cinderella, that being said. I saw it today for the first time, and I watched it twice, possibly because I wanted to get lost in Richard Madden's eyes again, but what can you do? The way these Disney flicks are going, though, I'm really hoping they tackle The Little Mermaid next, because that was a personal favorite of mine growing up, and it could really use a reboot. On the topic of Cinderella, we've got some great local Cinderella news as well. Ryerson Theatre is putting on shows from Tuesday, November 25th to Sunday, November 30th. The shows will star Ryerson actors and dancers of the graduating class. It's rumored to involve a lot of audience participation as well. And there's going to be a tap dancing bear, so you can't go wrong. It's a comedy, and tickets are available on Ticketmaster or through the Ryerson Theatre box office. They're $25 or $20 for students or seniors, so grab your grandparents. According to my roommate's girlfriend, who's in the Ryerson Dances program, the show frequently sells out every year, so you might want to get your tickets fast.
Ever been stuck somewhere you didn't want to be, Lexi?
Yeah, in this recording studio right now with you, Sam.
Pretending you didn't say that. Well, wherever it was, it's nowhere near as bad as the band Interpol had it in Buffalo. So the band was traveling through New York State to play a show in Toronto, and they ended up right in the middle of that lake-effect snowstorm, trapped in their bus for a whopping 50 hours. The band was live tweeting their experience, which was a lot of drinking, understandably, snacking, and they even wrote a few songs.
Of course, that's all part of a bigger weather story, and although this is a pop culture podcast, can't help but pause to reflect on what's going on in Buffalo. Over the last couple of days, they've picked up 1.6 meters of snow in specific parts. That's somewhere around 36 inches. Now, the Buffalo Bills Stadium, Time Magazine is reporting, has upwards of 220,000 tons of snow in it. And on Sunday, they're supposed to play a game against the Jets. So, the Buffalo Bills have enlisted their fans, and they're going to pay them $10 an hour to actually shovel out the stadium.
So Fox has decided to indulge in a second round of tea and crumpets, dip their toes into the River Thames, and steal another perfectly good British TV show to try and make it their own. But I'm not bitter or anything. Fox will be remaking BBC's epic drama Luther starring Idris Elba into a remake, not starring Idris Elba. Off the bat, that sounds terrible already. There have been plenty of other American remakes of British TV shows, and they've all consequently sucked as well. So first, let's talk about Broadchurch. Now, the original Broadchurch was fantastic. It was probably one of my favorite shows of the past year. And then Fox decided to pick it up and bring the lead actor, David Tennant, over and completely remake the whole show without British accents, which is ridiculous. I mean, the idea that Americans can't attach to British TV shows just because of the accents is something that bothers me so much. And Fox continues to do that process. I mean, they also brought over Us and Them, which was a British TV show, but it didn't even make the first broadcast on Fox before the network decided to cut it. Now, I saw a screening of it, and it was bad. I totally understand why they cut it. There have been a couple decent ones, I will admit. So Shameless, which is the Showtime show starring Emmy Rossum and William H. Macy, it's really interesting, and it's a little bit different than the original British show, which is where I think the success lies. There's also House of Cards, which is Netflix's biggest original series and their first original series, and that's a little bit different than the original UK version. But overall, my problem is just completely replicating shows like Broadchurch and now Luther.
All right, now that we've got Sam all worked up, I'm going to take a second to talk about some shows that do well across the pond. We're looking at X Factor and American Idol. Now, X Factor was started by Simon Cowell, and that's everyone's favorite asshole judge on American Idol. And American Idol actually started in Britain as well. Both of those do great. I think American Idol is in its something like 15th or 16th season, so sometimes it does work out over here. Another big one is Skins. Now, Skins ran for 6 or 7 seasons in the UK, and it's a bit of a cult classic. I never got into it. It was mostly because I had issues understanding their accents, but I know MTV did try and remake it over here. It was kind of along the lines of a Degrassi storyline. Bunch of teenagers, they go through some stuff that teenagers do, but it just didn't catch on here because, frankly, they didn't do a good job with it. Now, in other news, the UK version of Luther announced on Wednesday that they would soon start filming 2 new episodes of the British version. That's the one starring Idris Elba. Filming on that one will start in March, and the episodes will air later in 2015.
Well, at least we have that to look forward to. Well, that's it for the Friday Five. I'm Samantha Sobolewski.
And I'm Alexis Allison. See you next Friday.